Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It doesn't matter where you're tuning in from. This is the Growth Edge, your business skills and support conversation powered by the African MSME Collective. At AMC, we help micro businesses start, stabilize, and grow, but we also ensure sustainability through the years. And it is a fantastic place to be. Every fortnight, we have a different conversation. And this time we're talking about planning ahead. We know how it happens when it comes towards the end of the year. Many of us start planning in January when really we should have started in October, looking back and figuring out what we need to do. So that's the conversation we have today. My name is Kyesubire and Bragg. I am co-founder of product development and marketing at the African MSME Collective, and it is my singular joy to be here. As always, I'm having a fantastic conversation with my co-founder, Joe Mukoko. So let me tell you guys something. This guy, he has another skill with finding work and finding business. So I think for me, the biggest benefit I've enjoyed being a co-founder alongside Joe is just how each of us work in our areas of strength. But that brings me to the conversation of today. Joe, I want to ask you to say hi to everybody and tell us of a major time you failed to plan.
Good. Kyesubire, you can hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. In fact, I was just planning. I just remembered sometimes the weather changes, so I was just turning on the fan.
Oh.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jambo. And all the other languages spoken. Huh?
Hatujambo.
I'm Jambo, eh? Good.
Yes.
You've asked me a very interesting question. Was there a time I failed to plan? Yes. And it takes me back to COVID. 2019, a group of us come together and we see this huge opportunity in selling spare parts. And we pulled resources together and pull ourselves together and we say we are doing this thing, we are starting. And we start. You see, we had projected how everything would go. And remember this, the spares we needed are not manufactured or produced in Kenya. Okay? So they have to be shipped from wherever it is they'll be shipped from. Then COVID happens.
And no one is
Remember, we started this business like at about June, July of 2019. So we are very excited about it and we are pushing and we're seeing this is growth. In fact, I was sure in another 12 months, I'll exit all the other businesses I have to concentrate on growing this. And we are talking to oil companies about distributorship of lubricants and all these things. And there were some Chinese companies that came here looking for partners during the Auto Expo. And there we are, excited. In fact, the expo was 5 days. Every day one of us went because we were 5. Every day a different person went, you know, to just show this Chinese. Anyway, we are a team, eh? This is not a business of kalongolongo. And before they left, they came to our workshop and we made them eat ugali, managu, and chicken. Luckily, they enjoy kienyeji chicken, including the head and the feet. So we were not far off. Everything is running well. Then COVID starts. And COVID didn't hit us fast. So those are the areas where majority of the spares come from. Shut fast. Japan, China. Then Dubai survived a bit. So we survived with Dubai. Then Dubai shut. And then we are stuck. We are stuck. Some things are on credit. Some are on a bank facility. And we are stuck. And we have rent to pay. And we are stuck. So we planned for everything. And we thought we had mitigated our risks in terms of if we can't get from Dubai, where else can we get from? Can get from Uganda, we can get from SA, we can get from Egypt. But remember, all those places is transportation. So it's shut. So here we are. We've sold until we've sold. Now we only have the shelves to sell. But the shelves cannot convert into spares.
That's so dramatic.
No, I'm being honest. So we would wake up in the morning and go to the godown and just look at it and just see the shelves. It took almost a year for supply to regain. But by that time, we had been deeply affected. Tore down the business, tore down relationships, tore down a lot. And the plan we had, because in 10 years, we had thought of having employed more than 20,000 youth across the country. We had gotten in touch with the TVET institutions to help us just come and put sense into some of the mechanics by the roadside in terms of when they finish working at 4, what additional skills can they get to grow themselves? And remember, this was the time when the government was looking at that, it's called certificate of prior experience as a qualification. And the government really wanted to grow the Juakali sector. And because we were members of the Import Association of Spare Parts, the government had come and tried to work with us, and the Juakali and the Mechanics Association had also come, and we were trying to see how then can we work together. But now as a business, we had deliberately decided we are going to work with the Juakali guys while the members are getting ready and see how can we work and how can we use our networks so that if you've come and you've been working here, like Omosh or Jose, you've been here for 8 years. Then, anyway, so all these plans went up the air when COVID happened because we didn't plan for uncertainty, like having a global interruption to our local business. Remember, we were very local. I was telling people in 2019, okay, I wear shorts when I'm on holiday, but I used to go to the office in shorts because that's how our clientele referred to us. If I would go in a suit, they would not really trust. They'd be like, hey, you've worn a suit. Do you really know what you're talking about? Yeah.
So then that brings us the first thing I think we need to think about in terms of planning. And not just at the end of the year when we're reviewing, but planning in general. What's the reason we plan really? Because there if you asked me, you sounded like you guys had planned, you had looked through scenarios, but there are also major loopholes that you have.
Thank you, Kyesubire. Allow me to give you 5. And the first one, I begin with, the business landscape is very dynamic, extremely dynamic. What might be trending today might be obsolete in another 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months. Look at when AI came. AI changed how banks relate to clients, how insurance companies relate to clients, how supermarkets relate to clients. And then, so you have to be aware of that. What is going on where I am and what is going on across. Okay. You remember there was this craze about, was it gelatin ice cream or something? Ice cream that is lactose in free. There was a craze that came about at some point. And like now even there is yogurt and there's yogurt and what is it? Yogurt and cheese made from plant-based. You get
like the coconut yogurt.
Exactly. The business world is changing and it's changing fast. So one, you have to be aware of that. Secondly, the consumer expectations are changing. We buy through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, name the spaces, websites, WhatsApp business. And the consumers still expect us to have that personalized touch. Consumers still want us to customize our service delivery and the product to them. Consumers still expect us to be transparent if something has gone wrong, to own up. If you don't own up, your customers leave you. But if you say, I am sorry and this is what happened, they actually want to support you. And they can give you good testimonials.
Yes.
Then the economic uncertainty that surrounds both as at a local level and at a global level. Like when I was sharing about COVID, you see, it didn't originate from here initially, but it affected us before it hit us.
Yes.
By 3 months, exports, imports had been affected by as late as December, beginning of January, by the time we were coming to shut down in March.
Yeah.
So that economic uncertainty throws us off balance. Then also, like the other day, our interest rates are now at 22, 25%. How many businesses can actually afford to borrow at that rate and still remain profitable?
Yeah.
And not just profitable, sustainable.
Then
there's the one that we always laugh with you about, increased competition. If I come and I open a cake shop next to you and it seems like it's doing well, in a few months or years, 10 cake shops, all of us have converged in the same place, all of us looking for the same customer. And other than that, there's just that you'll always find that there's someone who has more money than you, more opportunity than you, wanting to do the business that you're doing. Remember, no business is unique. It's the execution of the business. Technology was there in the ADs, but it's in the execution of your business. Then the last one is the changes that come from government that we need to be aware of, the regulatory changes. And that is key. That's very important. That's the reason why we need to plan. For example, when I had given an example, I think in a conversation we had, all these ladies and gentlemen who've been manufacturing garbage collection papers, and they had been told your plastic needs to be a certain micron for it to be able to break down. Then the government changes the other day and says, no, we don't even want that plastic with micron. Now we've changed. Now it has to be biodegradable. And then you cannot not only manufacture black. In fact, I don't think there's black. I think black is hazardous. So there's blue, green, and pink and yellow. That's how even for us in our houses, we will have to be separating our trash. It's the law. Well, there's no one to implement it. So those are the quick things that I will talk about.
So really what we're talking about is we must plan because we have to have things in place to handle eventualities, which is all around trends and adjustments in the whole environment around us. So whether that's the business landscape, whether that's competitors, consumers, the shifts in the economy, government regulation. Yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine from Nigeria, and it's ridiculous how their currency has been devalued. 10 years ago, I was able to buy 5.5 yards of fabric for like 2,500 naira, which was about 1,250 Kenya shillings, 1,250. But now the same piece of fabric is 12,000 naira. It doesn't make sense. It's between 12 and 15. And so even in that kind of landscape, then you are finding that a business owner has to figure out how to stay afloat. So tell me, when we have analyzed all these things and we know the state of the situation, how does planning help us go past it? What are the benefits of planning?
I have talked for a whole minute and then I realized I was muted. I'm sorry, our viewers. I had dropped. One, you're able to adapt to uncertainty. You remember we kept on talking about VUCA and then what, all these things. It's about adapting to uncertainty. So what happens if interest rates go up? How are you able to adjust to that? What do you need to do in the event that interest rates go up? How will you be able to adapt? How will you be able to adjust? Then that leads to you having mitigation mechanisms for risk. So these are the uncertainties that might come up. What risks do I foresee there being? And then how do I plan for those risks? In identifying and planning for those risks, you then look for, thirdly, opportunities. What opportunities exist? And what can you do about those opportunities? Not just identifying them, but taking advantage of them. Where will you fit in the whole game plan? Then, now that you've identified those opportunities, what resources do you have and how can you optimize those resources to make sure that during that period and beyond, and even when business is normal, that you're growing in a responsible, ethical, and sustainable manner? Now, that leads us to the fifth point. You are able to make decisions better. These are the risks, these are the opportunities, these are the risks, these are the resources that I have. How can I be able to make better use of them? And if I can be able to make better use of them, then sixth point, how can I align my teams and stakeholders? And this applies for solopreneurs, duopreneurs, and multipreneurs, wherever you fit in. Because even as a solopreneur, you have people who support you. For example, if you have a website, could be you developed it, but you don't have the back end to it. You would like to advertise. The platforms you advertise on do not belong to you. You want to network. Those spaces do not just belong to you. They belong to you and other people. How do you take advantage of this? Now, even in normal circumstances, like now 2025, if we look at it and we tell our teams, this is what we are seeing, and this is what we want to do. See, we've brought them on board early enough in a clear, simple, clear and simple way. Clear and simple way. Remember, I always tell this joke of how we went for a talk during COVID, and one of the presenters told the business people, you must have enough runway to take off. And the business person asked, where are we taking off to go? And it's COVID. So just breaking down the jargon to a simple way that your teams can follow. Now, what all this does is, one, you will be able to increase your sales or sustain your sales. Remember, business is all about sales, whichever way we look at it. So if we cannot have those sales, we are in trouble. So then how do we sustain what we currently have and then build on it and increase it? What we are doing is to avoid reduced sales. So either sustain or increase. Yes. Those are what I would say are the benefits. So I can see you thinking very hard.
Think
very hard.
You know how I like to turn things into one word. Something I'm seeing the benefit of adaptability, mitigation, opportunities, resources, decision making, alignment, and sustain, and then sales. What this makes me think about is what we're saying here is we have to have frameworks in place. So then we know this is our sales process, and these are potential challenges, and this is how we mitigate the challenges. And that really speaks to me, because we are always talking about how we must delegate with authority, how our teams must be able to make decisions. out in our absence. And too often, solopreneurs, we stifle our employees. We're like, don't make decisions without me. But if we have planned and we've put in a framework, then they can actually make choices faster and respond to clients. I'll use a supermarket. You go to a supermarket chain, you ask, is this product available? Some of them have to go to a till, while others just simply go to a certain point, scan the product, and they tell you they're X available. And the others just look at you badly. And you're like, yo, I'm your customer. And what I loved what you said about no business is unique. The difference is how we execute. So then and I'll give an example. There's a bakery in my neighborhood that just around that COVID time is when they started. And how they started is they came to test the market. I think I've told this story before. Every evening, 3 young men came to us to the point around which they were thinking of setting up their shop. And they'd walk around with crates of fresh bread. Ay, 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 ay. And there were 3 crates a day. A crate is 24. That's like 72 loaves. And they would offload 72 loaves. So they went upping it to 4 crates. And then they got a single shop, maybe 4 meters by 6 meters, something like that. And then they have actually taken up 3 shops, and they have half the bakery upstairs. And now they have full range, maybe 5, it's about 5 years now, maybe 4.5 years, 5 years, somewhere there. And it's amazing because now you cannot convince many of us in that area to even buy supermarket bread. So the one thing, and then now after that they began testing. So they began doing chapatis, which for those who are not Kenyan, it's a fried and leavened bread. And they do them only at lunchtime. Now they do them lunchtime and evening because they're those of us urban mothers who are coming home who don't have time to spend rolling and frying chapatis. And when I look at them, I can see a very clear plan executed progressively, knowing that the competition was the larger bread companies delivering to shops in the area. So they had to differentiate their bread. I see them they've tried some really exorbitant styles of bread, and then they've come back to the basics. They did chocolate bread, they did raisin and sweet bread, done all sorts of things. And when you look at them, their staff turnover is not that bad. They're people who are there from the beginning. But when now, in reference to this conversation, when we talk about the dynamic landscape, consumer expectations, I can now see how they really plugged those things into the system. So the question I have, because many businesses say, I'm just small. How do we go around and plan? What are some steps that we should follow as smaller businesses as we plan to grow?
Thank you for talking about bread in the middle of the conversation. I felt like now I need a cup of tea and some freshly baked bread.
I'm sure there's a bakery near you.
I will have to look for that freshly baked bread. Good. So I think the first thing we need to do now, we are moving forward. Remember in our last episode, we talked about reflection and why it was important to reflect. And that is the point of start and convergence. 1, an audit of the current year. What happened? No, what was supposed to happen? What happened? Why didn't it happen? And what can we do better the next year? We really don't dwell on it, but we dwell on it to the point of what can we pick that can make us better in 2025? Remember, you've given a very good scenario of these young men and how they've evolved over time and how they looked at everything and they were able to deal. So that's where we start. 1, we have to conduct a current audit. Then now look at 2025 and decide what are the 3 to 5 goals or objectives we would like to have? And those 3 to 5, why I say 3 to 5, if we do more than 5, it could be too many and you will not be able to execute. But 3 to 5, what are your priorities based on where you stand? And then from those 3 to 5, look at what tasks need to be done. First, before the task, let's go back. Those 3 to 5 objectives, if you were to attain them, what impact would it have on your business? So first, we look at the impact that we are looking forward to. Then, look at the tasks and activities that we need to carry out to move us closer to our outcomes. We want that impact, yes. But what are the tasks and activities that we need to do? Then now look at the resources that are at hand. And resources is not just money. It's money plus people, plus assets, plus opportunities, plus where we currently stand as a business. Because there's a foundation that we already have. Remember, when we are talking about this, we know that as a business owner, you understand and know your business better. Our work is to support you. The principles remain the same. So then when you have listed these things down and looked at the impact, the tasks and the resources, then critically analyze the gaps that are there. The gaps that you have as a business in terms of delivery. And these gaps have to be based on, one, the industry. Where is the industry at? Where you are playing? And what percentage of that market would you like to have? So what are the gaps that you are foreseeing in terms of if you want to continue playing in that industry? Then yourself as a leader. Leadership is important. Do you have the necessary skills or experience to take the team forward? If not, how can you plug it in quickly? You don't need to go and do an MBA or a diploma or a certificate. No. The good thing about technology and the good thing about the digital space is that there are courses in all languages that you can pick that can help you strengthen your gap. Remember, as a leader, we are all looking up to you to show us the way, to guide us. Our work is to support that along the journey, you tell us, pick those fruits, we will need them ahead. Pick firewood, we will work with it. And then gaps also now for your team. What have you seen that needs to be strengthened for you to be able to carry on? What do they need? Because you have to empower them. And then where most business owners run away, number 4, having a support system. And the support system is about accountability. A support system is about networks. Accountability, a partner to work with you. Networks, who else do you talk to? Remember, we keep on talking about how it's lonely as a business owner and you need to be plugged in somewhere, an association, a community, a club. When you need people to talk to, you are able to go see and even benchmark. Some of these gaps can be filled in by you as a business owner attending those networking events. You will pick, you will learn from your peers, you will benchmark against your peers. Then your branding. Now that you've done all these things, how do you intend to strengthen your brand positioning in the market? What did you do this last year? Did it work? How do you want the consumers to perceive you? How do you want your prospects and suspects to perceive you? Look at your brand. Figure out how to make it strong. Maybe change colors. And instead of having fuchsia, bring a baby pink. Maybe that is what resonates with the customer. Yeah. Or have white instead of black, or blue instead of gray. Just those things. Or even how your brand messaging goes out. Are people relating with it? Then lastly, have a starting point. You've done an amazing job drawing a plan. You've done an amazing job doing an audit. You've done an amazing job discovering what it is you need to strengthen. Start. 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 Iterate as you go along, but start. And keep on moving, and keep on moving, and keep on growing. And back to you. Thank you.
I think that the thing that resonates so deeply with me is start. Because so often we get stuck at, oh, but how? And it's just take a step, do it. It speaks so deeply to all the conversations we've had this year because they've been, by and large, around the need for us to keep moving on a daily basis. Because when you do the audit, you will definitely find things that didn't work. And many of us get stuck there, paralysis by analysis. Oh, why didn't it work? I am not good enough. And even as planning is a big thing, and planning is a critical thing, it doesn't have to be that hard. I'm thinking of maybe a business that set a target to sell 2 million this year and they sold 700,000. It's very easy to get stuck in, oh God, we did so badly, and get stuck there, as opposed to why didn't we reach our targets? What was out of sync? What didn't work? And being realistic to, if we are the problem, we put in a support structure to mitigate the gap. And it makes me think about even the things we do, because we had a target to reach in terms of number of episodes per show that we have not been able to reach, but we can celebrate that we've come quite close to it. We will probably be maybe 3 episodes off our target number. And we've already begun doing the conversation of how do we do it better next year? What do we do if we're filling in gaps? What would you say to the business leader who's discouraged because last year I failed again? What would you say to that business leader who has experienced a lot of failure, so is struggling to keep moving?
One, I celebrate you, business leader, wherever you are. I celebrate you. It's not easy to wake up in the morning and keep on moving, wins or losses, but you keep on moving and you keep on running your business and impacting society. So one, I celebrate you. In my eyes, you're a hero, you're a heroine, wherever you are. And I will tell them this. Keep moving, iterate as you go. Keep moving, iterate as you go. You started from somewhere. Build on that foundation. Is your product still relevant? Yes. Keep building. Is your product still relevant? No. Ask yourself, what else can I do? What can I iterate? But keep moving, keep building. You realize the minute you stop, you give an opportunity for your competitors to take in. You and I have been in business and we've actually experienced it. When you feel like, oh my, I need to go to Uhuru Park to ride that boat because today I can't think and I'm not going to think for the next 1 month because this is so bad and I've been hit hard. That particular moment, remember when you already have clients, you've planted a seed. It's your duty to nurture that seed. Water it, give it fertilizer, groom it, let it grow, prune it, let the customer stay. So that would be my word to them. Keep moving. Keep moving. Are you still having sales? Very important. It means that you're still relevant. So how do we iterate and go back to where we talked about, sustain them, then be able to grow? If there is a problem, iterate and keep building. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. That speaks so deeply to a lot of the things that we see in our circles. So many times business owners are like, it's too hard, it's too tiring. And then we spin off too early. And I think for me, the place of planning, that's what I completely love about this space. I remember thinking about quite a few of the businesses I've done in the past, and I realized the primary place of dissonance was the fact that I spin off too early. So you can, and it's that's that slump of year number 3. You climb year 1, year 2, and then number 3 you stagnate, and then you're like, it is too hard, and you don't press on. And then if you had just stayed on another year and a half, then the breakthrough point would be attained. So when I think about that, I think about the value of planning, because planning then would tell you that in a month number 24, you need to begin to prepare to do a tweak, so that at month number 30, when you have got just before you enter year number 3, you're now working on something new. So you're adjusting to the industry gaps. That's how I would look at it. So that's how I see the value of planning. And just all the stuff you've shared, it took me back there, because I can see businesses that if I had just at month number 30 shifted, like and it's a very small tweak. It's not like diametrically changing the business. It's adjusting one product. It's okay, this line is not working. What are the other products that would support the line, which is now what we now do here at AMC. Because now, just because something isn't working doesn't mean it's dead, but let's put the tweak in. So that is really why we're discussing planning, because it helps us look after the audit, just look into the system and begin to put actionable steps that our teams can take, that we can take, that will not only secure our businesses, but will ensure that we are sane and sober and our mental health is sorted. And the reason why we're talking about planning towards the end of the year is we find it's inappropriate for a business to start thinking about the year when the year has started. You need to think about the year before the year starts, so that upper first quarter, you are implementing. January always tends to be a little bit slow depending on your industry. Schools are full throttle. But depending on your industry, that is the time you begin to implement, or if you need to do trainings or deep conversations with your team, that's when you do them, because you've reflected in the year before, you've identified the gaps, you've had time over the holidays to just process and see which balls fit in which basket, and then January is execution. So what would be one parting shot you would give to business owners?
Keep your eye on the ball. Maintain your focus. Keep an eye on the ball. You're dribbling it, you're kicking it, you're holding it. Whatever it is you're doing with it, you're holding the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. And remember, we celebrate you. However big, however small, we celebrate you. And you keeping your eye on the ball will ensure you celebrate your wins and improve on areas of weakness. But keep an eye on the ball. Remember what we've talked about, that if we had just tweaked, just one thing tweaked, you were at that point of tweaking, but you gave up. And I will use the analogy of football now that I have talked about keeping an eye on the ball. You play for 90 minutes, have an additional extra minutes, and if it's a big, whatever matches, you have an extra 30 minutes when you get to quarterfinals and stuff. But now we're even just talking about the normal match. Quarterfinal and stuff is competition. When you're in that field, you have to keep running. You have to keep moving the ball to the direction you need it to go, so that you can score a goal. A goal is a win. Everything that happens, those are challenges. With planning, you shall overcome these challenges. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's always an amazing conversation with you, full of insight and revelation. What surprises me, it's not always absolutely new stuff. It's a new dimension of things we know. So to my fellow business owners, you do know something that can add value to what you're already doing, or that can be added to what you haven't already done. So when you get to the planning phase, our challenge to you is not to look for drastically different ways to do things. It is to find ways or tweaks that you can improve what you have. So if your reporting structure was 2 weeks from today, what if you brought your reporting down to 1 week? That would be the planning stage. And test run and see, what if you did it daily? I know a shop where they do it's a chain of shops. So every shop does its numbers before they leave. So you know, by the time everybody closes shop at 7, there's a sales sheet that says sales, total sales, the credit sales, the POS sales, the mobile money sales, and the cash sales. So by morning, the management team has a full picture of how they did yesterday. And then at the end, it's the same worksheet, the tally. So by the end of the week, then you can see that every week we're offloading X, we're doing so much credit and all that. So then you're able to balance, they're able to have a full picture and balance the books. So that's what we're asking you to do. We're asking you to set up a system that can run and that will allow you as a business owner, one, to give direction, two, to have the capacity to move to the strategic. You will always work in the business, but you must now move to work on the business. That is what planning does for you. It allows you to know where you are, know who needs to do what, know where the gap is, and have a mitigation plan. Now, if it sounds like a lot, it is not. Just follow this channel. We will take you through step-by-step activities on how to put your plans in place. Remember, 3 to 5 goals. Now, if you reference, we had a conversation in the last episode, and we talked about you can only change 4 things in the year. So 3 to 5 goals sits within that. What are the biggest things that you will need to change or improve on or adjust that will have the greatest impact? Those are the things we want you to focus on. But you must start from, and I'll just go through those steps again. We must start from reflection and auditing the year. We set our 3 to 5 goals or priorities. We determine the resources that are aligned to that, which is people, money, opportunities, networks, and that helps us analyze gaps. And then we build a solid support structure. We do our brand, we improve our branding, and then we ensure that we start not just today, but every day. I don't know how we can say it any better, but that is planning in a nutshell. So have you taken time to look back at 24 and plan for 25? If you haven't done it yet, we are those guys who will be available for you through the year. So you can always reach out to us. We'll help you through the process, because we believe that the way to stabilize businesses is to have the right structures, have the right energy, have the right focus, have the right teams. And then we're able to build according to the needs and desires of our customers, and we're able to remain sustainable because we are chasing sustainability. Sustainability, not just green, but sustainability in terms of the capacity to consistently sell. So from us at the African MSME Collective, my name is Kyesubire Greg, and my partner, Joe Mukoko. We say au revoir. It's been a fantastic conversation, whether it's morning, noon, night, in the middle of the night as you're watching this. Our prayer is that you will have learned at least one thing that you can do different starting today. Thank you, and catch you on the next episode. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any topic you want us to do, please feel free to let us know in the comment section, and we will be sure to put that down. Thank you, and God bless you.